Welcome, everyone. Hello, my name is Vadim Perlovsky, and we are excited to welcome back Arran and Lagg Distillery, a newly built distillery on the island of Arran. Today, we have Hunter Leese joining us. He's back at the helm of the single malts off the island of Arran. Super happy to have you. Hunter Leese is working for Hoteling, the importer, a great partner of ours. We've featured all of their brands and hopefully we feature any more that they bring in. Always happy to work with them. They're great people. Thank you all for joining us today for our annual Robert Burns tasting on the week of Robert Burns dinner. We have some familiar faces and some new ones. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Quick reminder, we are doing a poetry contest at the end of tonight's tasting, and the winner will win a bottle. So Hunter will take care of getting that right to you. We have a couple of winners in the room who are looking to keep their status and re-win the big belt. No, not belt, but bottle. So if you don't have a poem written, you have 30-ish minutes to think one up while we're tasting. Make sure it's something fun and short and sweet, and everyone's going to enjoy it. The tasting order is in the chat. We have 6 expressions in front of us. We have 4 from Arran. Arran's been around for a while. I know Hunter will tell us about that. Arran used to make peated malt, but they have since opened a sister distillery on the island of Arran called Lagg to make a few other to make their peated malt. But I feel like I'm stepping on Hunter's toes. I see the
Totally.
look. I know. I'm sorry. We don't tango so well. We got to practice more often. Look, welcome. Thank you for being here. We're excited to have you. Over to Hunter.
If I
Sounds
could
good.
ask
Thanks.
a quick
Yeah,
Hunter
yeah, of
before we
course.
start, point of order, is it Aaron or Arran? And that's
It'd be like I'll do my best. It's more like Eden.
Aaron. There we go.
Yeah, I like again. I'm not doing it perfectly, but it'd be more like that sort of in between, I guess, kind of. So yeah, there you
you
go. And then it's
supposed
just
to,
lag.
are you supposed to roll the R's? Arran.
Aaron.
I think maybe you can in touch. I'd have to clarify the actual role itself, but I think you can.
Aaron. Cool.
If anyone's curious, you can pull up the recording of when we did it with who's the global brand ambassador?
Mariella.
Mariella was the first tasting we did in 2020 was when Mariella introduced me to Hunter. She's on there talking about the brand. So if you want to go back to our YouTube channel and find the proper pronunciation, I'm sure she's doing it the way.
Who's the there's a Scottish gentleman, the actor. He's older now. He went through and pronounced every distillery um in Scotland in his own and like in the like supposedly proper way. Although people have disagreed with some of the things he said, but I'll find the guy who does it. He's a famous actor. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but it's on there too. Lag is not, but Aaron is Aaron. So
All
there you
right.
go.
Or the guy from Succession, maybe?
Yes,
Okay.
Brian Cox.
yes,
Brian
yes.
Cox.
Brian Cox. Thank you. Who's going to come to me? So it was just kind of kicking it off here. I know you guys are familiar with the brand. I can show you a quick video if you'd like. I have not actually been out to Erin myself. I'll probably get out there this September if all goes well. The last time I was pegged to go out there, it was right during COVID, and I had to unfortunately cancel my trip. So I'm very much looking forward to getting out there. This is kind of a quick visit video. If you guys are okay with me, just kind of throwing it on, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
go ahead and do it.
cool. Here we go.
It's a really special place, especially looking at Lafanza. It's such a quintessentially Scottish village. We've got a distillery, a ferry, we've got a ruined castle down there. There's eagles up in the tor up behind us. You know, there's stags that casually wander through the village and stuff like that. So it's quite, it's quite an all-round hitter. We can talk about the whiskey and the people, the environment and all that type of stuff. And until you come here and you experience it yourself, you're not really going to get the true majesty and the amazing atmosphere that we have. So come and visit.
There you go. Just a quick one for you. That's Stuart Bowman. If you guys were with me last time, James McTaggart, before he went into retirement, he was a master distiller. So Stuart Bowman's been our master distiller now for the last couple of years. he's done a wonderful job with a few things. And the first real, I think, whiskey that I've had of his that's been put out is what we're actually going to start with. So, Remnant Renegade, I'll kind of talk a little bit in between about the distillery, what we're about, but just trying to kind of kick it off here with Remnant Renegade. It's our newest part of their signature series. It's the first release in that. The second one being the Barrel Bonfire, which couldn't get here in time. But what Remnant Renegade, why it's called that, is actually, it comes down to the fact of it was but basically what they say is remnant barrels. So either whiskey that wasn't ready at the time when they were first bottling something it was supposed to go into, or it's something that either they bottled enough of it and just kind of they had a full cask left over. It's a variety of things, maybe something buried in the back warehouse. It's kind of a bunch of more barrels that were left over, I guess, that Stewart found he really liked, and he created this nice kind of blend of a few sherries in a bourbon barrel, in bourbon barrels as well for how this goes. So it is bottled at 46. It's the first release. It's kind of just a nice little exploration. It's sherry hogsheads, sherry butts, and bourbon barrels. And I want to say it's about 60-40 bourbon to sherry, if memory serves. Right around there. It's some Oloroso in there. I think there's a couple PX as well going through there, but just want to kick that off. It's gonna, again, it's our newest whiskey here in the States, so you'll be able to find this in Barrel Bonfire has not been released, but that would be something else to look forward to. That's number two in the helm. So I'm just gonna give it a quick taste. I actually had
Well, Hunter,
the lovely,
you mentioned that we can now buy things directly for hodling, and you set up a coupon code. Did that ever come through?
Yeah, I'll have to share it after this. You'll get
Okay.
I can't remember if we plugged in 10 or 15% off, but you can buy it directly and it'll ship directly for it to you. The Remnant Renegade might not be on there right now. I'll check here in a minute, but everything else we taste here today, including the 21-year-old, you can get on there, at least in California. So you'll be able to purchase directly from there. It's roughly, it should be about retail prices and thereabouts. It just the nature of the business. We don't directly sell it. We partner with the retailer who will ship it to you on our behalf. Just so you know how that works. We can't necessarily control all the prices. So, but that's where it comes in, and it's pretty much done on retail. So
I'll
on
drop the
top of
link
that, you'll get
in
the
the chat
discount
so
though.
that people have it, just so in advance.
Yeah, I'll get you. I'll share with you the website right now.
Okay.
And then this will be, I'll get you, there's going to be a separate link that has the discount code that I'll shoot over right after this.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah, this Renegade's really good. I mean, I love
It's,
Arran as it stands, but this is really delicious.
yeah,
How
I'm a
will
big
they
fan.
sustain
Sorry.
this? Sorry, how will they sustain remnants? I mean, once you've used them up, are they gonna come up with
So
more remnants?
it wouldn't be, and this is only one-time release, and it's only going to be full barrels. It didn't actually it wasn't just like leftover casks. It would have been something that if they were bundling a bunch of casks together, maybe they didn't fill enough bottles to take care of that cask itself. They're all full barrels. It's just not again going to be like stuff that has made it into whiskeys before. Again, if it was judged as too young or what have you, then that could have been the case, or just again something they didn't quite bottle off. So. I just dropped the link in the chat there for you too, so you guys can check that out.
It is pretty tasty for 46.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it comes off. 46 would be the nice kind of. I think I think most people would say the low end of where you're going to get full flavor. Single malts at that. And I think it even comes across even a bit spicier. I think that's probably the sherry poking through for sure. I think I get some really nice spice to it. People have said, I think some nuttiness, obviously that's that kind of sherry coming through for sure. With the PX probably being on the sweeter side, there are some of those kind of sweeter nut tones. But you still get like a nice kind of caramelized, I would say even like honey, especially on the nose. Not quite that you're going to get on like the Sauternes, but I get a little bit of that from the bourbon barrel coming through. But one thing we always like to talk about at Arran is the water. I think you guys have heard it before. It's known as one of the most pure waters in all of Scotland. Arran being on the west coast and on its own island, it is going to have really pure water. I mean, there's no industry on the island really to say you're going to get kind of fresh rains coming off the West Coast there. So it's kind of unadulterated water, rain, and also on top of that, it comes down from the highest peak, which is Goatfell. It's on the backside of there, is where Loch Notavie is, and that's the main water source. That's the pond there. I believe it rests in mostly granite up there, granite stone. And then as it kind of travels down the hill, it's going to hit six waterfalls, and all that is like an aeration, but also purifying kind of process. Natural is as it goes down all those waterfalls, it's going to drop out sediment, also help aerate the water, and that's part of the reason why Arran chose the location of the Lacranza Distillery is because it's just such pure water and some of the purest water on the island. When we get into Lagg, that's not off a fresh stream. That is well water below there, but it's going to be a different water source as well. And kind of a fun fact, we always say one island, two distilleries. And, we started with Lacranza. That's our traditionally non-peated, unpeated product that's coming out of there. We've done some Mockery more. That was more, those are named after the kind of monolithic stones that are on the west coast of the island that, go back thousands of years. But that was more of a proof of concept for the live distillery, and that's how that came about. Um, Again, Arran, Ireland island. It's Scotland in miniature on an island. Basically, you get both a highland and lowland. So it is the west kind of barrier or boundary of in Scotland of the highlands and lowlands. So you get kind of the more mountainous regions up by Lacranza. You kind of saw some of that in the video I showed you. We're down south in Lagg. It's going to be pasture lands, pretty wide open, and resemble more of the lowlands. But again, being Scotland in miniature, it's not all highlands and lowlands. You get some coastal elements. That's where we are considered an island whiskey. And then you also get some stuff from the mainland. So features kind of across all the country. And that's why you can have two distilleries on the island that have, number one, again, unique water source, but also kind of a unique topography and just kind of climate that goes behind both of them. And Lagg would be more of our kind of heavily peated 50 ppm, peated single malt whiskey. And so those are two different styles, two different water sources, two very different looks and feels to distilleries themselves as well, and kind of two different philosophies at that. So you'll get a really kind of fun, I think, kind of exploration across the island, when we walk through all these today. So, yeah, that'll be pretty cool to check out. But that's just a little bit about the distillery, about where we are, and the differences between the two. So, any questions on that? Kate, I think I see a hand up, or are you waving someone down?
Okay, so my brother is in town and I'm telling him all about Arran. Here's my brother.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm Jim.
Hey, Jim.
So I'm talking to my brother and I'm hand waving with my brother.
Oh, gotcha. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. So, there you go.
Hunter, if we don't have it in the lineup, but one of the Arns I've had recently that I really liked, and I'm wondering if there's a good time for you to talk about a bit, if you know, is the Bothy or Bothy single cask, quarter cask.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not tasting that today. It is part of our core lineup. I think we've done it here before. But more or less, that's a whiskey. It's a single malt whiskey. It's about 7-8 years old. Starts its life in bourbon barrels and then has moved into quarter casks for the last, I want to say, 18 months to 2 years. And those quarter casks are going to impart just a ton more flavor. You're going to get a lot more kind of extraction from the wood. But the nice thing is it's, that's kind of a finishing cask. Some people you'll see age quarter casks the whole life. Those can be, you'll get a ton of kind of just barrel influence on there. Nice thing about Arran is we like to kind of marry, of course, the pure spirit that we're getting. That's kind of going to tell the story of where we are in Scotland, but also on our island. But then you also get a little bit more richness added from that quarter cask, and that's going to be, I think, the quarter casks are white American oak on that.
And it's also cask strength too, right?
Yes, it is. So kind of our lineup, how's it, like our core lineup, our thing that's going to be available every day up and down the street. You have Barrel Reserve, which is a 9-age statement single malt. That's 100% bourbon barrels. A fair amount of them are going to be second and third fill casks. That's kind of the entry point. Think of what the classic Laddie is to Bruichladdich. That would be kind of our same kind of one for one. After that, we have our kind of flagship. It would be our 10-year-old single malt above there. And then in the core lineup, we have our two cask strength whiskeys, which is the Bothy, and that's a quarter cask. And then we have the Bodega, which is our sherry cask. So two very different whiskeys. You can tell from the color on those. And that's one thing you'll actually find across our whiskeys. They tell the true story of what the barrel it's been in. We don't add any artificial coloring, anything like that. People have made comments that our 10-year-old looks a little bit light. It's because we're not using the caramel coloring. That's all just natural, pure, pure barrel influence. And we don't, the whole thing is about us is unadulterated, just really good classic whiskey. I say classic. We are a newer distillery compared to some, but we are actually at the Cronzo Distillery about to hit our 30th anniversary here. So the question I know that'll immediately follow that is when is the 30-year-old whiskey coming out? We'll get probably like a few bottles here stateside. I have been promised some, but that's not out yet. But when we do have it here, we'll have in extremely limited quantities. Considering the 25 retails for about $1,000, that one will probably be a bit of a increase over that, given its kind of rarity and whatnot, and the fact it's our first 30-year-old whiskey out there. So. That's kind of the fun of that. I don't know if we, want to move right along into Amarone cask. Does that sound good? All right. Any questions on that one? I'll say one last thing about the Signature Series. Again, that's the first release in it. They're not necessarily going to be coming out in order that you should necessarily drink them. The second one's going to be, I talked about being unpeated whiskey from Arran. That one is actually slightly peated at a lower level than the Laggs are, but still it is a peated expression. Kind of tells the story of the link between the two distilleries, I guess, in some form. So that is, we occasionally have exceptions to the rule. That would be one of them. That'll be coming out this kind of spring here.
Apologies if you sent us the link with the Arrans. I see all the bottles except the Remnant Renegade on there. Is there a reason for that?
Probably because it hasn't gotten to the retailer yet. It's a pretty new release here stateside. It'll get up there eventually, but basically, again, it has to go from our warehouse to distributor warehouse and then to the retailer. They'll carry it, you might be better off trying to find it locally at retail first. It typically takes about a month for it. Like we lag a little bit behind on there. No pun intended. That video, I didn't intend to say that, but there you go. So.
And do you know what the price point will be when it gets there?
Yeah, it should be about $100, 120, I would say, on that. So,
I
but again,
for 130. I said it's a high proof have for 130, 129.99.
There you go. I mean, again, you'll find it, different prices. Some places will be somewhere between 100 and 120. I would think.
How much of this remnant can we find? I mean, this is delicious. I'm assuming it's going to be a limited release, not going to be.
Yeah, it's an LTO. It's just a limited time offer. We barreled just what was in here, and what goes in here will never come out again. It's about 250 cases stateside, so call it 1,400 bottles. I think is quick math on that, something like that. I'm around there, and that will be really like 15 markets. Cool.
It comes in a nice satchel.
Yeah, it does. There you go. I'll show that to you.
Keep your
that's what all the Signature Series will come in. So I don't have a story about the canvas bag, so apologies there. But it is canvas. It's pretty nice. So getting the Amarone cask again. This is at 50%, so it's not cask strength, but it is kind of that happy medium. I tend to drink a lot of whiskeys around this kind of proof at just neat. You don't have to. I'll probably add a bit of water just because you get a little bit more expression from it, as we all know. But is everybody familiar with Amarone wine? Is nobody familiar with Amarone wine? All right, cool. That's a fun story. a little bit about what those casks are. So I'm just going to take a sip before I get rambling here, if that's all right. So Amarone wine. It's from the northern part of Italy. If you go to Verona, about 20 minutes west of there, up in the hills. If you're familiar with Valpolicella, it's the same area. Same grapes that go into Valpolicella. Make a couple other wines, like a very light, kind of almost rosé Bartolino. That's kind of more of a chillable red sort of thing. Valpolicella, Valpolicella Rapasso, Valpolicella Superiore. They're all basically a blend of five grapes up there. Typically pretty fruit forward, lots of red fruit, stuff like that. Corvinina, Rondinella, Corvina, and then I can't remember the other two grapes. It might be a Croatina or something like that in there. And then the three main grapes are those three, Corvina, Corvinina, and Rondinella. But that goes into Valpolicella. The best grapes of the Valpolicella region are then picked for an Amarone wine. An Amarone wine is made from those same grapes, but they take the best grapes that they have available and they put them on drying racks for about, I want to say it's 3 months. It might be it might be a little bit longer than that. They have these houses built in the vineyards. They're these kind of like little, really breathable racks, and they let the grapes kind of dry out. So what that does is it's going to concentrate all the fruit in there. It's also going to kind of raise the sugar content quite a bit as far as like your total liquid. And it's going to really, again, concentrate that flavor. The grapes will lose about 70% of their volume. It just water kind of leaching out of those. They then take those grapes, they basically press them into, think of like the consistency of Welch's jelly. You're not talking about like a liquid wine. And then yeast is added. A normal fermentation for wine like that's going to take probably 2 days, maybe 3 days, depending on the yeast and vigor and all that stuff. It could take up to 5 or 6, depending on just weather conditions, stuff like that. But take that time, and anywhere from 2 to 3 times is how long it takes for those wines to ferment. Partially being because it's so thick, it takes the yeast a long time to work through there. But it's a really slow fermentation process. You get some more esters as a result of it in the wine. And the wine you get is, again, this extremely concentrated flavor. It tends to be 15.5% and higher. So it's going to be probably like pretty high in alcohol. You're talking about 16, 17%. And it's more just a really robust, very old world Italian wine. That's a lot about wine for whiskey, but those are the barrels we finish this in for about 18 months up to about 2 years plus. So you're going to get some of that more concentrated fruit flavor. I get some red fruit kind of coming through. You're also going to pick up kind of that almost like stickiness on my end. It does have a sweetness to it. Again, kind of that kind of more, I would say even some cherry undertones, stewed strawberries, things like that. Or like a strawberry compote, almost. You get kind of similar as jammy flavors, but that's all to say. It's about 9 years of total aging, roughly about 7 years in some bourbon barrels, and then it's finished again in those Amarone casks. So you having not a lot of time in those barrels because they are first fills, you're going to pick up a lot of that color. You can tell it has that kind of more ruby red as opposed to like more of an amber or straw color, and that's just leaching up all that kind of color and flavor from the Amarone wine. Again, it has a certain richness to it, almost like I like you'd almost pair this with food in some senses. Not necessarily like I'd say sweetness in the fruit and the wine content. I wouldn't say it's more like dessert, like a dessert whiskey, like the Sauternes cask can be compared to. More of that, like if you have the shortbread, I think everybody's got some shortbread, right? So you might want to try some of that with the Sauternes cask when we get there as well. It's a nice little pairing there. But with this, again, I think it's a bit more hearty of a wine, I think, or of a whiskey, just because of the wine influence in there too. But 50%, I don't know if you're going to be pairing 50% whiskey with any spicy food. You probably shouldn't, but or at least for your own palate's sake. But yeah, more like kind of a meat and potatoes kind of whiskey for me, at least.
It's interesting because the nose to me definitely doesn't match the palate because it's like it smells a lot less sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Almost kind of, I thought savory at first, but then when you drink it, like the palate is definitely like nice and sweet. Like you can taste the dessert, like wine, basically in it.
Yeah, for sure. Again, that's all that concentration of yeah, some of the dark chocolate that would be lovely as well. But yeah, no, it's a really lovely whiskey, and this is something we put out about 100 or sorry, more like 300 cases a year in the US. It kind of comes out once a year. So if you see availability, it's probably more of a seasonal thing. All the wine casts kind of come and go, and we try to do about 4 month periods, but it ends up being probably more like 6 or 8. So most of the year around, these are available, but they are just an annual release kind of thing. So if you do get a bottle and it tastes different than the last one, it's probably just because we bottled it, a year later. Could be different. Kind of, it's going to be about the same age, but just on weather conditions and how hot the summer was or whatnot. We do have some of these in the dunnage warehouse, so you'll get a bit more of that seasonality to it. We do, I guess. I said dunnage. Everybody knows what that is, yeah.
Yep. By the way,
Cool.
thank you for the walkers to go along with our tasting. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
No, they're delicious.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah. Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. I know we're a bit early on this, but I know this is sort of in celebration of Robert Burns Day, so happy Robert Burns Day. It doesn't have to be on the 25th, even though that's the official holiday, but you can kind of do, you can do it before or after. You see all sorts of things, but that's coming up this weekend. So hopefully you guys are able to, procure some illegal haggis and have a go at it.
I guess true haggis would be illegal because I just had a burn supper and we had haggis. So
Sure. There are some that do like a close to here, like in the States. It's harder, it's still hard to find, obviously, because it's not like very popular. If you don't, everybody knows how haggis is made, I'm assuming. It's
probably
basic. You
Oh,
probably don't
goodness.
want to, honestly. Basically, it's gotten better. Like I've had some really good haggis actually here that people have made for a bird's dinner a couple years ago that was a bit fresher, but it was more like old sheep that you slaughter. It's a lot of offal kind of crammed together inside of a sheep's intestines. Is how that's kind of made. I'm skipping over a lot there, but that's the long and short of it. So parts is parts. Thanks, Jane.
Hunter, I think you should make a poem of that. You can take all the awful things and put it together in an intestine. You can make a poem that way.
That's an idea. I'll have to think on that one for next year, but I can't promise I'll come back with something good. But I'll try to come back with something. Period.
How
I love
about
the idea.
how about parts? It's parts. It's not awful.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. Speaking of Vadim, I know we didn't discuss how the poems are going to be read here, but I assume most people have dinner, so I can have had dinner. So if you don't mind, I was going to jump in just with my own. Just I'm trying to get it out of the way to be totally fair before I have too much whiskey. But let me see. Let me find it here.
Oh, bring it on.
Actually, now I'm unprepared. I don't know where this went. I was going to read a Burns poem, and it's a grace after dinner. If you'll indulge me, yeah. All right.
We agree. Let's do this.
I'm not going to do the accent, but here you go. O thou, in whom we live and move, who made the sea and shore, thy goodness constantly we prove, and grateful would adore. And if it please thee, power above, still grant us which such store, the friend we trust, the fair we love. And with desire no more, amen. There you
Well
go.
done. Well done.
Hallelujah.
Good deal. So I just wanted to kick us off, I guess, with something just that was sort of dinner related, but and that's just a Robert Burns original, as they say. My funny enough, my grandmother is like he's been dead a long time, a very long time. but she seems to still be in love with Robert Burns, and she's 94. So maybe next time we'll try to get her on to do some poetry. But there you go. That was my first introduction with Robert Burns before I even knew that there's a whiskey made with its name, or its significance was. Can anybody know why Robert Burns is so beloved and cherished as a Scottish icon?
National poet of Scotland.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of like, I mean, he's not William Wallace, but he's, a national hero. Someone talked about Scots earlier. He was very much, a proponent of kind of the resurgence in Scots. And he wrote a lot of, he was known as a lover, for sure. He died quite young, I think 39 or so. But people love his poetry, if not for its quality, if it's at least its enjoyment. It's kind of more whimsical, and sometimes people would say cheesy, I guess, but I don't know. He was probably the original cheese master, really. So if you started it yourself, you get a pass, I think. But yeah, we get National Poet of Scotland, and Scottish icon, and kind of an icon for identity of Scots culture as well. So
He also
very
wrote
important.
Old Lang Syne, the song everyone sings in New Year's that no one knows the lyrics to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So there you go. A little fun there. How are we doing? Everybody finishing up their whiskey?
Hey,
Want to chat through the next?
sorry,
Yeah.
I have a question about Arran.
Yeah.
I did notice that on the website you sent us the Arran 18 is available, but I heard that it's getting discontinued. Is
Oh,
that correct?
fun topic for everybody. Absolutely. So, um, to be fully transparent, first of all, it is probably my favorite Arran whiskey. I think it's just the perfect. It's a lovely sherry. I'm a sucker for Oloroso. It's all Oloroso casks, and it's a beautiful whiskey. We've been out of it in the U.S. for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years or so, depending on what state you went to. Uh, More or less, the long story is we were, robbing 18 production to make sure that we kept our flagship alive, the 10-year-old, and we had some things set aside for 21, 25-year-olds, also the 30-year-old that I talked about. So we didn't produce it at all. I want to say it was 2023, and we just produced it at the end of 2024 again. We have 150 cases that just came in, like probably landed a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. It was like just before Christmas, kind of thing. So that is back in stock. We have 150 cases in the US. We'll have another 150 more this year. After that, it'll be at least 2029 until we can even buy it again here in the US. So you're probably looking at 2030 once those cases are gone that you can buy it again. It will come back, but it is going to be on a more extended hiatus. The same thing is said for the 21-year-old. We're not going to make that again at all. We do have a 25-year-old that we have a bit. We'll probably have about 80 cases available to us stateside here for the next year or two. Kind of spread it out a little bit. And then we won't have that again until 2036.
Because
Of the
I live
25.
in a state controlled whatever
Mhm.
liquor state controlled. But I was traveling for work, and Frank told me that the 18 is continuing. He had these 18s which was the first time I've seen an Aaron 17.
We did a single cask of 17-year-old a while back. So that's like that would be a single cask whiskey. There may have been some 17 before we even had an 18 if it's like really old package. I can't recall off the top of my head.
Okay.
But
It looked like the new labels to me. But yeah, anyway, cool.
it
I'm
was
glad that
probably
it looks
if it
like
was
the
a new
18s
label, it was
might
probably a
be
private cask or a
available
single
again.
cask.
Yeah.
So, but it's not being discontinued. It's just taking an extended hiatus while we get stocks back to good levels. Probably in the meantime, you'll see us relaunch the 14-year-old, I believe. So we'll have some older age statements, but we got to get through a little bit, of let whiskey get older, pretty much. So,
Thank you.
but yeah, good question. Good question. I knew it was coming at some point. But the good news is that it's back in stock at least for probably the next next 12 months. You probably have a shot at it. Okay, so Terrence, yeah, cool. Again, this is one of my favorites of the wine casts. If you don't know me, I did have a long background in wine, so all these wine casts have a fun kind of expression that reminds me of the old days a little bit for myself. So Terrence is a very, very lovely French dessert wine. It's produced kind of, if you know where Bordeaux is, it's just north of there, on the north bank of the Garonne, north banks of the Garonne. Um, it it gets kind of a little funkiness to it, which is why it's like used for aging. I think it gets noble rot is what they call it. But it kind of creates this really interesting kind of funkiness to the wine, and it also drives the sugar up a little bit. So create whatever bacteria it is. Not all I mean, yeast is not a bacteria. However, it's its own kind of thing. But there are, if you've heard of Brettanomyces, if you are a sour beer drinker, things like that, or lactobacillus, those are both bacteria. They're not actually technically yeast, but they a lot of times act like yeast. So they'll eat sugar and create alcohol. I think from that, it can converting that bacteria itself is converting something into more sugar is the way I understand it to work. I could be off, so correct me if I'm wrong. But that's
right. It's a fungus.
Yeah, it's a fungus, not a bacteria. Thank you. You're absolutely right. They call it, yeah, that's what they call it, noble rot. Botrytis is absolutely correct. So yeah, I guess fungus can also act like something. I mean, fungus is weird, and I love it, but yeah, it does some funky things to the wine. What you do, it's kind of the same treatment as the Amarone cask. Just instead of Amarone cask, it's going to go into Sauternes cask for more of like a year and a half to 2 years. The really nice thing about doing these back to back is you totally kind of get a comprehension for what the cask can do over kind of 18 to 24 months. You're not going to get an overbearing kind of quality. I mean, the nice thing about the British Isles and Scotland in particular is a more even maturation. You don't get all those crazy diurnal temperatures, so you get kind of a really long maturation process that's going to it's not going to impart a ton of flavor every year, like you will find more in like bourbon or kind of hotter parts of the world where you have these big diurnal shifts, where you're getting that kind of extraction and the push and pull in the barrel sort of thing. So I think you get that cask influence, but it's not overbearing. I think you just get a really nice pure spirit with some of that kind of really beautiful dessert wine coming through, that really nice Sauternes wine coming through. Again, it's a dessert wine. It's also kind of more of a dessert whiskey for me. I think it'd go quite nicely with some of that shortbread if you have it, if you'd like to indulge yourself too. So. And again, still 50%, same kind of thing. We've been doing these. These are probably some of our longest, I would say, like cast finishes. Some of these go back to before we did the repack and kind of relaunch of the brand. So we've been doing these for a long time. They're always pretty consistent. But again, you will get some kind of variation year to year, depending on how hot or cold it was that year, especially during the finishing process. So. Any questions on that guy or anything else? Anybody want to read a poem? Feel free to raise your hand, jump in.
I like that. Let's throw some poems in the mix. Who's ready to go? That's right. I'm calling on you right when you have food in your mouth. What am I, a waiter? Can I get you anything else? Jane, did I see your hand go up? You ready to kick us off? Let's go.
Yeah, I'll read one. I had to use a bit of an assist on it, but
Mentor, you got to take notes. You're the one voting for the best poem.
No, I know. I'm getting them ready.
All right.
Okay. You guys ready? Whiskey
Certainly.
in my glass is sweet, makes my problems take a seat. 1 sip, 2 sips, then I'm fine. Who needs water needs divine. Wait, what's that? A wobbly spin? I think I've had too much again. Whiskey, are you friend or foe? I think I'll still pour one more, though.
Well done. Fantastic.
Ooh.
Oh, I love it. Good job, Jane.
So in other words, the rest of us don't need to read a poem.
Yeah, distill it down. I love it.
Tomorrow morning you'll be asking friend or foe.
Yep, that's the whole plan. Now everybody has to read poems if you got them.
All right, I got one. I scribbled something, though I put it through a Scots translator to make it more Scottish. So, all right, here we go. Wi Uskya ba good and rare, Burn sang a love and flare, a toast to the moors and the wild heather floors. Slanjava to the bard with care. Slanjava.
Slanjava.
Indeed.
Sanja, well done.
Try to keep it
Nice.
short.
That was great.
Figured out
2 out of 2 or 10 for 10. Well done.
Nice.
All right. We can take a break if people want to get a little bit more whiskey before they get into poems.
Right.
I mean, I can read mine. Full disclosure, I made Chat GPT to do this, and I put in a word that just to piss off Vadim. On Burns Day, we raise up a cheer with a Glencairn glass ever so near. We sip with delight on whiskey so bright as we toast to the bard we revere. See, but
ChatGPT did well.
It wasn't a spade ram; it was a Glencairn.
Oh no, whatever.
Well done, well done.
Well done, ChatGPT. So
very nice, very nice. Just to get a head count, how many more people have poems?
Should we just roll through them? Or
No. We're gonna take a break. I just want to make sure we get to everybody. That's all. So that's we'll kind of take a whiskey break here if that works. Yeah.
And I think that's a great idea. In the past, we've done them all at the end, and it kind of gets long. Where having it a little bit here and there is nice.
Yeah, sprinkle them in. You know, we don't have to. We don't have to do them all. Do them all at once. That's why I'm taking notes, right? So there you go.
Well, I as I usually say, as because I've done this once before, you know, I use ChatGPT, so I'm excluded from winning.
Fair enough. That's all right.
Hey, Henrik's a winner in my book all the time.
That's right. I'm already loving them all.
You know what I love about Henrik is he likes the whiskeys that I don't like, and I like the whiskeys he's so about. So when we get together, we never drink each other's whiskeys. It's great.
Perfect. That's what you want. That's a good friend right there.
Exactly. The world would be too boring if we all drank the same thing.
Henrik, I like what you like, so I want to come to your place and drink all your stuff, okay?
Come on over.
I did.
All right.
I did it
Come up
yesterday.
next. Oh, I'm sorry.
I went to check his stash last night, so it's good.
Very nice. So if you guys are ready, we'll jump into the we'll jump into the 21. Does that work? Good. All right.
Not rush anybody, but let's move on to the 21.
Yeah, absolutely. So here you go. It comes in this lovely box. Here you go. This is again available if you want to get it. Nice blue label here for you. If you want to take a peek, just get a fresh glass for myself. And a nice little pour here. All right, let me get it straight. Okie dokie. So again, the 21-year-old I got here, I use my favorite whiskey glass for that. Not again, I think I give this shout out every time. I can't believe Denver's not paying me yet, but these Denver and Lively glasses, if you don't have them, they're if you like whiskey glasses, I have several different kinds. over near my bar, but I think these are very lovely whiskey glasses. They've got a deeper bowl. You get a little bit less of the alcohol note on that. So I always advocate for them. They're all hand blown, handmade. It's an Australian guy. He's got a lot of spunk to him. He's good people. He's like a product engineer. But anyways, to the 21-year-old. So again, we've done this. I want to say it could be off by a year here in the US since about 2019. We are not making any more. What we have is what we have. We're sold out in our warehouse. So Vadim got one of my last 3 bottles for your guys' all enjoyment. But it's a vatted basically combination of all first fill and a couple second fill sherry butts, puncheons, and hogsheads. I couldn't tell you the exact breakdown of each of those, but it is all sherry casks of some sort, whether it's butts, puncheons, hogsheads. A vast majority of them, it can be Oloroso. It might be all Olorosos that don't have a breakdown there, but one of our favorite casks that we use at the distillery would be Olorosos. It's much more nuanced, I would say, when it comes to especially single malt Scotch on Arran than you're going to get from a PX, which can be a bit overbearing, can have a bit more concentrated dry fruit. I just think this is a really nice, really lovely kind of blend of all those different kinds of sherry casks. But again, mostly Oloroso as it goes. There might be a touch of Fino. I'm honestly not sure, but it's going to be mostly Oloroso, a touch of PX, maybe some Fino. We'll see. So I will say, well, I did say the 18 is my favorite. I still do like this better. It just isn't quite something I dive into as often. But again, you're gonna get a really nice kind of all that kind of dried fruit coming through from that sherry cask. You also get some of that. Almost get might just be with this one, this kind of batch in particular, but I get almost a little bit of salinity too on the very back end. I'm picking up just a touch. That's probably just ocean air influence, even though La Cranza itself is pretty well sheltered. If you saw the bay there, the distillery's back, maybe half a mile at most from the bay. So from La Cranza. So you're going to get some of that sea air influence. It's not as much as you might find on like, not to shout out something else. Another favorite to mine in our portfolio, Old Pulteney, where you totally get that kind of briny, almost like, sea breeze in there, but you do get a touch of kind of that savory salinity. So, I think that's really nice and something I don't necessarily get as much on the 18-year-old, for whatever reason. So. What are your thoughts? We're out here killing unicorns today, I guess. If you do, I'm not for collecting whiskey. I'm very much of the mentality that Booker No was known for. He was famous for not signing bottles because he was like, I don't want if I sign that bottle, you're not going to drink it. He was very much for drinking whiskey. I'm that same kind of person. So I I have an original bottling of the 19-year-old. It's the only bottling they did in 750s of the 21-year-old. I drank one of them before I realized that I could be a collector myself someday, which I will not be, but I'm saving one of those because it's gone up quite a bit. But with that being said, this bottle, if you saw while I was pouring out, it's been heavily indulged in, and again, one of those things we're lucky to be having right now because the 25-year-old will come back. The 21, I know the 25 is older. The 21 will not. So this is probably the last bottling of it. At least I can see 5 years out. I guess I can see 10 years out to 2036-ish, but it's not on any production sheets in the next 10 years. So
I'm almost getting like a biscuit scone kind of note to it with oddly a little bit of mace and a little bit of sherry.
fair enough.
Really interesting. This is still one of my favorites.
Again, there is like some sort of even spice herbaceousness kind of thing kind of coming at me mid late palate even which I'm picking up as well. But the uh, one of my favorite things about Arran, it's very near and dear to my heart, is the nuance to the whiskey. Again, it's not heavy-handed. I think they probably could have used all first fills for this, but that's not really stylistically what they're going to go for. They did a nice job, I think, marrying a bunch of different cast types. I mean, they're all sherry cast, but a bunch of different kind of the first fills, second fills, trying to find that really nice balance between all the different flavor compounds, all the different flavor profiles. So, thanks for calling that out. It is lovely. It even goes like even a bit tropical with like some almonds or mango. I mean, almonds are tropical, but a bit of that kind of nuttiness. And then also I get like, I mean, even some mango on there. And it's coming at me a little bit more now too.
Like this is more of a meditative dram, if you will, whereas the Sauterne and the Amarone are more daily drinkers in my mind, right?
Yeah, for
Party
sure.
bottle type of thing. And this is more you sit quietly at the fire and sip it along, and yeah, it's more of a special dram to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Contemplate life's greatest questions, right? That kind of thing. I would definitely agree, especially at 50%, those other wine casts are a bit more punchy, for sure. And they are great daily drinkers. Or definitely the price matches that too, as far as comparison. But yeah, it's contemplative whiskey. I think is a great way to put it.
It's interesting. I'm not getting the heavy solidity that I normally get, but my body's reacting as if it is. I sort of like
salivate sort of thing.
Start chewing afterwards,
Yeah.
In a great way, But
Yeah, yeah.
kind of interesting. It's not hitting me, but my palate is reacting as if it is. So it's kind of an interesting sensation.
I'm curious. Do you like any of these, Jordan?
I like the first one a lot, and I like this one a lot. The wine finishes were my favorite.
Really interesting.
It's funny, Jordan. I never thought to see the day where the two of us would agree. And the thing is, I fucking love Sauterne. I mean, but for me, for this, I don't know, it didn't work for me on this one.
Fair enough.
The first one, the mouthfeel was incredible to me. It was like almost like cream soda. It was fantastic, and I could have that all the time. This, it is almost at the end the mango. I don't know if I quite get mango, but it's almost like I had a piece of toast with a little jam on it, and it's still lingering.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying it quite a bit.
No, what's interesting about this, the 21-year-old, is that even though it's only 46%, the finish is actually quite long. And I felt that the finish looked like it's going to be done quickly, but then it picked up back again, which I think is super elegant. I mean, I was trying to find words, and I think the only word that I could find for it is elegant, because it feels like it's trying to tell you something. It starts big, it slows down, and then it finishes big again, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I actually added a couple of drops of water in the 21, and yeah, I mean, as you say, Rita, that it's elegant. It's just kind of it's hang on, and like Kate said, it's a what did you call it? A meditative dram. I mean, it is one of those you have a sip and you just kind of enjoy that sip for some time and before you take the next sip.
Yeah, I think it's super enjoyable. I think I get like some of the tropical fruits, almost like a marmalade, and that salinity like comes through. For me, it comes through. I love just going back to the glass and nosing the glass after it's done, because it's like it's so fragrant and just super enjoyable.
And it's funny, Rita, you mentioned, like, you said it's only 46%, but like I was getting kind of your mind there too, like where it does have a pretty significant spiciness, especially on the finish.
Sure.
It does kind of like, it almost coats your mouth. I mean, it's not a viscosity thing, but it's just kind of, it does really, really linger, but it's like kind of like you ever chew on like a Szechuan pepper kind of thing almost. It has like a bit of that sensation.
No, absolutely. And I think my comment about the 46% is, unlike the two gentlemen before me who didn't like the Amarone and the Sauterne, I actually like them quite a bit, but they were more punchy, right? They were 50%. And when I saw the lineup in this order, I was like, okay, we're going to do 250% followed by a 46. I hope we're not butchering the 46, but the 46 held up really nicely after two. I mean, the Amarone was syrupy and delicious, and the Sauternes had also its own complexity, but they were punchy, right? You got the 50%, you got the wine influence, but the 21 is beautiful. It held up really nicely after the 250s.
Good, good to hear. I'm glad I didn't screw it up royally as well.
Well, I think as
Rita,
as a counterpoint to that, I think that almost every older Arran I've had, 18 and up, and I've had all the way from the first year of Arran. None of them are as exciting as the newer and younger Arrans, like the 10, 12, whatever, the Bothy. All of those are far more exciting to me. Maybe it's what I look for in a whiskey.
2 years ago, I had a group of friends over, and they were all, big fanboys of Oban 14. And it's a beautiful whiskey. And I had bought my first Arran. I had bought the special reserve, your entry point. And it was funny because they finished my bottle. So I had to buy after that the 10 and the sherry finish, and they're both amazing. I agree. I do like multiple errands, so I was really excited to see the lineup tonight.
I'm fortunate in my choices of whiskey, just working on the brand. But when my whole family was over in France this summer, we ended up um, very heavily indulging in several bottles of Arran Barrel Reserve. And the nice thing about that too, like they do a really great job across all the whiskeys, no doubt about it. But I mean, not that you're not going to mix the 10-year-old with anything, but I did make quite a nice penicillin a few times with the Barrel Reserve, but it also stands up on its own too. And I think there's something to say about all those things. So um, anyway, that's a little bit too much about myself there. So there you go.
Hey, Hunter, how does the 25 year compare to the 21, do you think?
Look, I wish I'd had the 25. I will tell you that. I haven't tasted it yet. I couldn't speak to it.
Is this
I
the
probably
first
will
25?
in the next 2 years, but or 2 years, 2 weeks. About I have a few bottles coming for some just media samples and things like that, but we only have 40 cases of it, and like over about 18-month period. So you got it. I'll send you a 50. So yeah, I'm sorry, Kate. I wish I could speak to it more, but I just can't. But I will let you know as soon as I do. Maybe one of these, the next time we get on here for Arran, maybe we are able to lock down some 25. So yeah, of course. That's very nice of you, Vadim. I thought you were gonna go bigger. All right, let's do a few poems. Yeah, does that sound good?
let's do it.
Whoever raised their hand, we'll
For the
do
amount of times
three
that
before we
people
dive into
taste
lag. How about
high
that?
proof here, the 50% on the Amarone and Sauternes really hit some people with the spice. I also found it a little spicy. The 21 is just so delicate and just there's so much complexity there. You can't compete with that, of course.
What the poll say?
I'm gonna end the poll right now. Well, what do you think was the winner?
I actually think it was unanimous 21.
Pretty close.
Really?
60% voted for 21, but almost 30% voted for Renegade. And then
That would
Renegade.
have been my second guess.
Renegade was good.
so it's funny how there's a lot of people ask for higher proof, but the 40 Heron at 46 is just so good. The 10 years what really made me fall in love with the brand all the way to the beginning.
Sure.
Look, if you've known me and seen me on any of these, you know I think I use nuance probably overly, like too much. But like I really do like the 46 is a really nice proof level for, ABV level for the Aaron because you do get, I think you don't get all that alcohol overpower or fighting with any cask influence or anything like that. It's just the whiskeys they have bottled up that 46 have a really nice kind of like, I guess they tell a story on your palate sort of thing. And that's I'm gonna be biased. I only work on Irish and Irish whiskey and Scotch. But when it comes to bourbon, which was what got me into whiskey, my brother and I used to just go to town on some Wild Turkey 101 for many years. But that's what got me into whiskey. But I appreciate less so the kind of big hitting, punchy, big bourbons. I mean, I work in the brands I do. Maybe because of that, maybe as a result of that, I don't know what it is. But again, I think there's incredible nuance to be found at 46. Jordan, you feel free to punch me next time you see me. I think that's more your speed, but that's to each their own. There's no judgment there. And for the record, I'll even drink some with you if you want.
I was gonna say there's lots of bottles out there, and
Yeah.
that's the whole beauty of it.
Not to go on a weird sidebar here before we get into the poems, but I'll try any whiskey. I'll try any probably spirit that you have for me. I'm constantly trying to be challenged as far as what my palate will tell me. I think that's the fun in what we're able to do here and elsewhere. You taste a bunch of different whiskeys from a bunch of different places. They all have their own kind of unique, I guess, perspective on where they're from. And that's the fun of it. So I've even outside of whiskey, have been trying to have a rum epiphany for probably 8 years. Everybody keeps on telling me try this, try that. I haven't gotten there, but I have gotten close a couple times. But I'll always keep trying for any of that stuff. So I'm always willing to be convinced otherwise.
Have you had JT Melick rice whiskey
No, but but I know of it. I haven't had it myself.
out of Louisiana? I have a cast strength and another one. It's rice whiskey, but they make it like bourbon. It's super interesting, and it's not very expensive. It's like $70 a bottle. If you just
I'll pick one up.
I recommend it.
I will. I'll let you next time I see you. I'll let you know what I think. Uh, absolutely, absolutely.
And one of the things I appreciate about Jordan is he's down to try all kinds of different stuff. I mean, he knows what he likes, but I mean, there's been times where he's gotten bottles that he's shared with me that are awesome, but they're funky, unique things where you got different finishes, random things, and I mean, that's the beauty of whiskey, trying all the different stuff.
No doubt about it. That's what we're here for, right? There's got to be the passion behind it. If you don't, it's hard to be. I can't be passionate about one singular thing. You got to have to, try to challenge yourself with all that, and that's again, that's the fun of it. So, not to get too prophetic or contemplative. Kate, you called this before, to be honest. That is contemplative whiskey, and here we go. All right, who wants to distract me with the poem?
Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, I thought of this as I was putting my head down last night. All right. Robbie Burns, Robbie Burns. Oh, what an unfortunate last name. For here our town was set ablaze. The Pacific Palisades are now pale and gray. Altadena is now Ashadena. Yet new life from the ashes will surely alight. So looking to the future, we'll call this Robbie Phoenix Night.
Ooh.
Sláinte.
That's very good. Well done. And topical.
I mean, just so you know, the SMWS Burns night was canceled due to the fires. I mean, that's
Was it
just
really?
beyond ironic, yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they did do it in Japan, but they decided to use it and donate some of the funds to fire charity relief.
To that end, if you know me, you know I also represent our Irish portfolio, and Dingle is part of that. Beardy Dave from Dingle is going to be in LA next week. Liberties of Dublin and downtown. is hosting we're basically donating 50/50, $2 from every cocktail towards LA Fire Relief. That'll be um, uh, yeah, on Tuesday from 7 onwards. It might
Oh,
be
that's that
ticketed. I'm not
Liberties.
sure. Yeah, Liberties. Yeah, feel free to
Okay.
stop by. If you have trouble getting a ticket, give me a shout.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I'll ping Jerry about it. That should be easy. Starts at
Cool.
7, you said?
Starts at 7. Beardy Dave will get there. He's coming up from Boxcar down in Anaheim, so he'll be there probably 7:30. We're gonna get him behind the bar, do some dingle, gin, vodka, single malt cocktails, things like that. So should be fun. But yeah, $2 every cocktail will go towards Fireleaf, and then we're gonna figure out between the two of us, me and Raymond, about what we add on top of it and that's gonna go, yeah, LA firefighters relief fund.
I'll put all of our drinks on your tab. Thanks, Hunter.
Put them on Dave's tab. Lindsay will be there too. If you met, but I think you met Lindsay before. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She'll be there as well. But yeah, Raymond's a homie. He's a good dude. He's got a great bar there. So enjoy. Hopefully. All right, that's my last digression before poems. So Kate, thank you for that one. Who we'll do two more and then we'll get into Lagg. Yeah.
I can do my feeble attempt.
I love it, Tony. Let's have it.
There was Vadim and Jane who invited us in to celebrate Robert Burns. No haggis, no crisp, no black pudding. Bourbon, rye, rum, gin, and finally scotch to draw us in. Jane looked at the rye and said, "Why?" We tasted, we fested, we shared. We were told no Pete, but soon he lamented. From the highlands to lowlands, Bayside to Campbelltown, finally to Isla, he found his way and even included a wee pack of biscuits with our drams. So on this special night, I offer a salute, a sláinte of all to all near and far.
Cheers.
Sanja, nice work.
Sanja Val, yeah.
Very slanjava to you all.
Thank you.
Very nice. These are all great, to be honest. This is gonna be a tough one.
I've never been in a poem before.
Shane, I think it's you and me left, right?
All right. Well, I'll go then. All right. If
It's the snow.
I decided I go short and sweet. So there we go. Hunter pours a dram, beautiful, amber and gold, a legacy distilled, a story to be told, of sea and sky, and soil and grain, the taste of Arran's heart, Lachna Devi's filtered rain. Slanjava.
Nice.
Very well done. I especially like the part where you threw my name in. That's easy points right there.
You got to do it, right?
Pandering to the judge.
Although the last time I put Vadim's name a couple years ago, I got left out, so I don't know.
Well, look, I guess that tells a lot about the two of us. I'm all for vanity, and he's more humble. So there you go.
Oh no, don't say that. That's not true.
I love it. This night is always so much fun.
It was probably because it was derogatory towards Vadim. That's what it was.
There you go. Well, since he's gone, I think he went to just go look at himself in the mirror then, with that.
Yeah, I can confirm that.
All right, so that's 3. How many more poems do we have? Just so again, 1,
So we can do them once
2, and anybody else? Let me see. I see at least 2, so we will take another break between Kilmori and Corey Crabby, if that works. So I guess now on to the peated whiskey, if that's all good with you guys. Yep. By the way, Jane, you know I love your last name, right? Is that your actual last name? It's not, is it?
Kilkenny? Yeah.
Kilkennig?
Kilkenny. I have a
There you
county, a
go.
city, and a castle, and the only clean limerick I know with my name in it. So
well, there you go. Well, that's tough to find a clean limerick, that's for
yeah,
sure.
that's really
Um,
hard.
but that's lovely. Have you been to Kilkenny yourself?
I have. I've actually been to see my city. It's quite not quite nice. I enjoyed running around and seeing things with my name all over it, which is really bizarre. So
It's one of my favorite towns in all of Ireland.
yeah, it was just too much fun to spend time there.
They're very serious about the hurling though.
Yes, they are.
We did. Have you been out to the stadium?
No, I've always been there at the wrong time.
Fair enough. They do. There's if you walk out towards the stadium. This is a brief Irish digression. If you walk out towards the stadium from town, I think it's basically south side of the river, head south. You kind of walk along there. You see the stadium. On the other side, there's a huge practice grounds. Everybody in Kilkenny, everybody like little tiny child starting until they all play. They all hurl. They're all hurlers, and you'll see them just. There's probably I don't know 150 kids on as long as it's light out on the all the different pitches out there practicing. It's pretty fun to go check out. These guys are just that's all they do. Everybody's going to
Sounds
be the next big
fun.
hurler, and they don't get paid for it either. So there you
Yeah.
go.
No. All I just remember is my grandma's favorite phrase is the male hurlers are coming over by bus. Oh,
Hey, Jane,
Last time,
where in
sorry.
Ireland is your family from?
Mayo. Yeah.
Wow, Kate, that firing away. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, there you go. Interesting. Very funny. That's a good one. All right, back to Scotland we go. We'll start with the Lag Kilmorey. Again, this is 50 ppms is what we do here. That's gonna be the same thing in the Corey Crabbie. This is proof down a bit. Honestly, I love this whiskey because it tells a lot of like what the story of Lag is and how it's taken us to get here. I think in the next couple of years, it's going to continue to get probably more complex, little bit more of that kind of nuance being shown through. I think the whiskey's lovely. It is 46 for a reason, though. I think it's slightly young for just being the first distillery, first product out of the distillery. But again, I think it's going to continue to kind of grow in complexity as the distillery gets older. It was built in 2019. So this came out, would have shipped here kind of early last year. So one of the first whiskeys to come out of the distillery that can actually be called a single malt. And again, I think it's a really nice expression of what you're going to get as far as purity. The distillery itself is gorgeous. It's grass roofed. If you do you guys know the story about Lag at all? I'm assuming not, right? So Lag was the last distillery on the Isle of Arran. It was the last legal distillery, at least. Back in 1860, Lag Distillery closed. It was in the town of Lag, very southern tip of the island. Again, Lacranza, where Arran's from, is on the kind of not very northern, but most northernest bay of Arran. It's pretty close to the northern point. So opposite side of the island from there. But Lag was the last distillery to close down in 1860. So this is very much a revival of distillation, the distillation tradition within the Isle of Arran. I mean, Lacranza would be kind of now older, but Lag is a revival of that kind of old name. If you don't know the history, Arran's close enough on the Firth of Clyde to mainland Scotland that, well, I don't know if it's close enough. A lot of people, I think, died trying to get whiskey barrels from Arran to the mainland, but there was over 50 illicit distilleries on the island at one point, going back, I want to say early 1800s. So we've done things like the Smuggler series, different LTOs, cast finishes that kind of talk about that history. But Lag is kind of the revival of the legitimate distillery operation on the island. So again, opened in 2019. I believe it's LEED certified, at least silver. And it's more of kind of a melding with the environment around it. It's got again that grass roof, looks over the seaside there, and kind of blends in quite nicely with the more rural, flat kind of landscape that there is there. The nice thing is it's about a 30, maybe 40-minute trip between the two distilleries. So if you are on the island, it's pretty easy to get between the two. Probably find a driver to get you in between, but it's a small island. You probably will find someone that will take you on the way home, kind of thing. So northern southern tips of the island, and this is brand new. I think it's quite lovely. The Corey Krabi I'm especially nuts about, not to give things away, but a nice introduction to the distillery at the very least. You'd get more iodine on this one, I think, than you'll get on the Corey Krabi. Again, this is bourbon cask versus a ton of sherry that you're going to get with the Corey Krabi at again a higher proof as well. So two very different expressions, but they are kind of our core whiskeys there.
I mean, this is pretty damn close to perfection, if you ask me.
You said
Glad to hear.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it is really good. You said something about the water for this being aquifer, not river.
Well, it's from a well. That's I want to say about a couple hundred feet below the distillery.
Okay.
But it's not straight off the the runoff. So it's using more groundwater than it is off the stream.
Okay. Yeah, because I get that salty minerality to it that kind of, to me, it's like it's more of that, but it's fantastic. It's really quite good.
Someone said limestone. I think that's pretty good descriptor as well. You will get more sea influence down there, like just as far as waves, wind, being much more low lying. You're not going to have like middle of the island. You have Goat Fell and all these kind of larger mountains protecting. Like La Cranza Bay is much more sheltered as far as like what the maturation is going to come from. Like you don't have any of that blocking like the sea influence down in Lagg. It's if you look at Lagg and kind of turn around, I'm probably exaggerating, but maybe 500 yards away is going to be seaside. So very close. So you'll get more of that kind of unadulterated sea breeze coming through there.
Where are you getting the peated barley from? Because you said this is 50 ppm and Ardbeg is 40 to 50, and this is nowhere near Ardbeg. This is elegant and delicious, and like I could actually enjoy this.
I'll have to come back to you on where we're getting the malt from. I actually don't know, but I will find out for you. Let me see if I can find it here.
But I'm assuming it's 50 going in, and then it's lower coming out.
Yes, well, that would be correct.
Not like from Arran though itself, right? There's nowhere that does it there.
Sorry?
It's not from like Arran itself, right? Because there's no one there.
No. There, it's much too wild of land to be actually growing like barley on the island. So,
can I just say I'm so proud of you, Vadim.
What for? Say more.
Because Vadim used to say, "Yeah, Pete, I'm not manly enough for that."
He still can't admit that he's like Pete, but we're getting there. It's in a month or two we're gonna admit that he like Pete.
Right.
Look, this smells like armpits, but in a good way.
Wait, but what about Jordan? What's he think of this?
Nah, Jordan's all around wunderkind. He likes this.
I love
it. He acts all corny, but he actually loves the malt.
I prefer peated scotch if I'm drinking scotch. So I like it quite a bit.
Nice.
Well, okay, so you say when you drink scotch, but you prefer bourbon in general, right?
I mean, out of the 500 bottles I have, 600 bottles I have,
400 are Malort.
450. I'd say 450 are bourbon and rye. That'd be my rough estimate without counting.
Okay, I mean, so you're not definitely not opposed to scotch.
No, not at all. Not at all. I have probably close.
It's not enough.
So it sounds like David.
Trust me, whenever I go to Jordan's house, I'm never thirsty. He's got enough to take care of it.
So it sounds like David's definitely not a fan of this stuff, though.
Right.
I am not a lover of peat, but every once in a while I enjoy it. I've probably got a dozen different peats from Ireland and Scotland they're behind me. And every once in a while, I like to get slapped in the face.
No, it is one of those things, and this, kind of what I've explained to some people, my friends too. There's days, and that's most days, I want a peated scotch, but there's other days, no, I don't want peat. Let me have something, and give me an Irish, So
I will say this about peated whiskey. I have grown to love it over the years as transitions go. Um, but once my only issue with peated whiskey is once I start drinking it, I don't like stop drinking it. That's what where I'm going for the night. So I'm kind of like, not to say like I don't stop drinking it, as in like I'm just constantly drinking it. I'm not going to go back. I'm only
Right.
going to drink like once I make that decision, I'm sticking to it because I mean, I love peated whiskey, but it is very much, it influences your palate pretty heavily as it goes. That's my only complaint about it, I'll say.
I mean, if that's your biggest issue, it's okay.
Yeah, very fair enough. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I will jump in here with a quick video. Pete is a commitment. Kate, you're absolutely right. I'm not one for showing informational things, but just to show you how close the distillery is to the water, I'll just kind of quick. I don't know if the sound is working. It may not, but if you'll indulge me, just showing you what the distillery looks like versus especially La Cranza, which is a very different look and feel to it. So. Share it. There you go.
Yeah, we're not getting any sound, just FYI.
Yeah, I know. I was having trouble getting it. I think the videos, there's an issue more with the video than anything. So sorry about that. But again, just want to show you the landscape. Again, it's much flatter. You'll see it's much more just kind of like exposed to the elements, I would
Do
say.
you have a link to the video? Is it linkable from anywhere?
It is not. It will be at some point, but it's not currently. These are all brand new assets they've sent me as of like a week ago. So we're working through some, I think just issues with just the sound coming through. So apologies there.
Toss it in the group when it's done.
Yeah, we'll do.
Is the Lagg from beginning was part of the other distillery, or it was something that happened?
They knew they've known for, I don't know if it's been at least 10 years that they've been planning this and knowing they were going to build it. I don't know if they knew they were going to call it Lag at the time. But certainly that was like they've always been about reviving the distilling tradition on the Isle of Arran. So they finished the distillery in 2019, but it's been at least a 10-year project. So they've known at least since then that they're going to do it. But it's the same company. They built the distillery. They didn't buy it from anybody else. It was very intentional. They knew this was kind of the style they wanted to create there. Was La Cranza was going to be unpeated. And also like it goes to say that typically, you're not going to find as many lowland. I mean, again, this is painted with a very broad brush, but you're not going to find as many lowland scotches that are peated and vice. I mean, and historically, you get in Highlands, they're traditionally more peated. I mean, that just comes from fuel availability. I could talk to you. I've done a few things on really the history of single malt across the world in the context of like basically economics of the British Empire, taxation policies, more or less. But what that comes down to is fuel availability. One reason you don't find as much peated whiskey traditionally in Ireland as you do in Scotland is because Ireland, there used to be lush forests before the British commandeered them for shipbuilding. So you had a lot more traditional kilning like of wood using wood to kind of stop the germination of barley versus peat bogs and highlands. Highlands are full of shrubs. There's not a lot of trees there, and that's kind of what that comes from. Sorry for the digression, but going back to Arran, it's a flip, right? So lowland typically unpeated, highland typically peated historically. Again, I know that that's painted with a very white brush. Those are flipped on Arran. So our technically lowland Scotch, which you could consider it as being on the lowland part of the division, um, is peated, heavily peated. Whereas you go to the Crianza on the Highland part of the island, could be considered a Highland whiskey, and it's unpeated. So there was some intention there originally. They don't talk about it a lot anymore, but there was some intention at least around that, partially just because of also the landscape and that kind of ability to have very different styles coming from those, out of those traditionally what they are places, sort of thing.
Is it true? I remember hearing. I guess it's been a while at this point though that like Isla itself, right? Part of the reason they started using peat was because they didn't actually have trees till they brought trees over and then planted them.
100%. 100%.
Cool.
Is the future, is Arran not going to do any more peat? So kind of whatever peat you can find from, let's say, Lorenzo Arran, that's going to be it. Kind of, it's going to be a unicorn. Not that I'm collecting.
These are our core whiskeys. You'll see, like, it's a very young distillery. You'll see a lot more come out from Lagg in the future years. These are our two core whiskeys. Again, one being much more about like a peated spirit, which we also make like a peated spirit that's not whiskey. Clear liquid. It's actually quite tasty. You can find it on the island. You can't find it here.
What is it?
But it'll always be peated down there. These are going to be our core whiskeys as well. So
what's that spirit, Hunter?
it's called Lagg Peated Spirit, I think. I can send it to you. You can find it some places. I've had it before. I have some on my bar back there. It's actually very lovely. You can get a real sense for the quality of the spirit in there. But I'll put it in the chat here.
But Hunter, going back to the comment the Vadim said at the beginning of, this is not like an art bag, even though like the ppm sounds kind of similar. I think what's fascinating these days with peated and unpeated scotches is that we're getting peated from different regions of Scotland, and the different peat almost like has different profile, and that is actually really fun to try it because that comment was spot on. Like, this Lagg versus Ardbeg versus Benromic, they're all peated, but they're all gonna, taste very different. And I mean, that's what's so fun about Scotch, honestly.
For sure. And honestly, like part of it also will come down to like people, I think, sleep on the fact that not every kiln is the same. Either like you might have more direct smoke, you might have like kind of like if you're gonna smoke a brisket, like not everybody has the same method. Like it can be all different. I'll find out for you where we're actually getting our peated barley from. But Isla has that because like you get, I would say, even more iodine in some of those like typical Isla big, again, traditionally your Lagavulins, your Lafroigs of the world, your Oban, as you said earlier. You still get some of that iodine that's going to be natural in the peat that you're going to like just be using to actually kiln the barley, but it's not so pronounced. I almost get like it's a bit more savory to me, and you find that especially on the Corey Krabi. It's not that kind of like this isn't like Isla single malt is delicious and I love a ton of them, but sometimes it feels a bit more knees and elbows, and that's what a lot of times people are looking for. It's there's you get hit with this and hit with this, and it's and there's kind of these big flavors kind of across the board. And again, I'll go back to nuance when I talk about not just Arran but also Lagg, but I think you do get a bit more of that kind of subtlety. I guess there. It's not just in
one of my.
I mean, even Isla whiskey is not all the same, right? A Kilhoma
For sure.
is very different than a Bruichladdich is very different than a Lagavulin. Yeah.
Well, and I mean,
100%.
even on Isla, they don't use Isla peat for most of Isla. They get it from Baird's and the Highlands.
As you're talking about Krabby Patty, can we start drinking it already?
We already are.
I do have to ask, or like wonder. I don't know if there's much peat left on Isla, either.
No, there's plenty, but Bruichladdich, as Bino said, don't they use Highland?
Yep.
So when it comes to Bruichladdich too, just for a fun fact, a lot of the folks from Arran also came from there, which is kind of like If you look at, I would say, the ethos of Arran initially, it aligns pretty similarly with Bruichladdich as well. So,
Right. And I mean, one of the things I was going to say that one of my pet peeves with peat is like a lot of people always talk about peat, and to me, they conflate peat and smoke. Because to me, they're like, "Oh, that's so smoky," and I'm like, "No, that's peaty. That's not smoky. Because I can give you something that's smoky, more like a Lefroy 10, right? And it turns out there's different flavor phenol compounds in peat that you can identify that give you smoke versus stuff that gives you just like peat, like a Colila, which is like a sweet peat, or a Port Charlotte, right? It's very different from an
for
Ardbeg,
sure.
which has soot. And to me, it's just like, especially when people are just like, "Oh, it's all the same," and I'm just like, "Ah, stop."
You'll occasionally also get people who are like, will similarly not like mezcal for the similar reason, for the same kind of smokiness, and you're like, you're comparing it to the wrong thing. You're not like, you're not even comparing it. They shouldn't be compared. Just take them as they are, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I did remember when I first did a tasting with Ulysses Torres, and he was like, "What do you mean mezcal doesn't have to be smoky?" And that was a whole revelation because it turns out it doesn't.
No, absolutely not. I mean, what people know in the U.S. is mezcal, of course, is typically from Oaxaca and typically kilned and done all that. But anyways, you're absolutely right. Long story short.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Benno. Whenever I drink Brora, the peated Ben Nevis, I'm just not a fan. Port Ellen is good, but Brora is just not
No
good.
Brora for you, Vadim. That's fine. Give it
30, 40-year-old Brora, just pour down the drain. It's not good. I don't like it. As we move on to our final expression of the night, as I know we're all having a great time, I do encourage everyone to jump on camera for just a second. We have a custom here that we raise a cheers to our wonderful brand rep, Hunter, today, and smile to the camera. Benno, grab a glass, smile. Pam, are you going to join us? 3, 2, all right, everyone smile to the camera. Beautiful. So thank you, Hunter, so much for spending the evening with us. I know you got a baby girl down. Congratulations on becoming a father.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
we're all gonna drink.
Greatest thing I've ever done.
Good job.
I think
Yeah.
we've got a couple of poems left too.
Yeah, we got a couple of poems, but I just want to say thank you. I know at the end of the night, some people want to rush out. So thank you so much for everyone for being here tonight, for sharing poems and writing poems, and for supporting the group. And Hunter, thank you for spending the evening with us. I know you'd rather be spending time with the baby and the wife, but you're here with us, so we appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here and for being a supporter for many, many years.
Of course. Look, it's always a pleasure to see you all. I have a lovely time with each and every one of you. I appreciate the questions. I also appreciate the knowledge you all instill as well. So it's always a pleasure. I do always learn something new here as well. And thanks for letting me talk so much, I think, as well. So there you go.
No, we love it. We're ready to get into the final express. I've seen some tasting notes. I can't wait to taste it. I know I've tried the original, and that's how Henrik knows I like it as I gifted him a bottle. And it was so good. And I fell in love with Lagg. By the way, Lagg, what's the proper way to write it? Is it all caps? Is it not all caps? I've seen it both ways, and I don't know how to. When I was writing the event, I rewrote it 3 times.
So it's a funny question. They just redid the brand guidelines about 3 weeks ago. It was all caps. It's changed to capital L, all lowercase.
Okay.
I just literally before they like a day before they again, this is me being the marketer that I am. I had to go correct a PR agency the day before for not spelling it in all caps, and then a day later I got messaging that it is indeed not all caps anymore as of that day. So there you go. But no, capital L, small a, small g, small g.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm very pedantic as far as marketing goes, so I try to be on brand, and thank you for clarifying that.
You got it. Appreciate it.
And Hunter, you made me find a day tour through Rabbi's from Glasgow to Arran.
Very nice.
Yeah, we'll be going over there the end of April, beginning of May.
Tony, just shoot me a note. We'll make sure we roll out the red carpet for you.
Roger that.
Oh yeah. Well worth the trip, Tony. Glad to add that. That's a good addition.
Cool.
Well, with that, we have three more poems if we want to get, or at least two. I don't know if we have three. I know we have two. Who's left?
All right, we got
Jason,
Jason. Jordan's got a poem. Hell yeah.
Jason, Jordan. Anybody else?
Cade's got a second? No? Are
Jordan,
we
you
gonna
want
do the
three? You want
poems
me to
before
go?
the last four?
I could do it.
Yeah,
I
let's
never
do it. Go
I
ahead,
never
Jay.
write it down. It's off the top of my head. First time I can remember not doing Bobby Burns night in a hotel, but doing it from home. However, with this wonderful group, no matter where I am, I feel like I'm never drinking alone. Cheers.
Bunch.
Cheers, Jordan.
Sláinte, yeah.
I know it doesn't quite taste right when it's not out of a plastic cup, so we'll get you a sleeve of plastic hotel cups for your house.
There you go.
Branded,
People
branded red,
online.
branded red.
Jordan, congratulations. You won a sleeve of plastic cups.
We actually bought a bunch of like plastic disposable coupe glasses for New Year's, and a bunch of people use them. We set them up in like a pyramid, and my daughter's like, "It's the coolest thing ever! Don't throw them away!" And I've been like getting apple juice and just drinking coupe glasses of apple juice every night. I'm like, man, have fun, whatever.
There you go. Jason, you had a poem, correct?
Yep. I guess I'll round it out here.
Excellent.
From Arran bold and Lagg below, the water of life does flow. Sweet and peat both sip neat, just below Goatfell's shadow. The strand between, down Loch Nadavi, some casks remain a mystery. On jagged shores from Lagg now born, come sea and smoke and sherry. On this Burns night we sip from our flight, pay homage to the bard and to Arran and Lagg. Aight.
That was fantastic.
It's
I'm gonna take a moment to think about this. Do we have any other poems, by the way?
Yeah, Hunter, I don't envy you. Those are really good poems all
They're
around
very
all night
good.
long. I especially like the ones that praise me or Virtual Tasting Society. Those are the best. I give you extra points to those. I
My
have no voting
favorite, look,
power.
as I said, like I love the vanity, but I especially like when people prop a brand up always. So
Of course.
so Jason, very well done on that one. I will have my answer after we finish talking about Corey Krabi, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, fair enough. So again, obviously same base spirit as it goes as far as like what's coming out of the spirit locker, but as opposed to aged in more bourbon barrels, is aged in sherry casks. So again, also Oloroso. It has, to me, like, people always talk about peat in the sense of like iodine. Obviously, you get some of that. You get some of that kind of like more chalky notes. Typically, this goes more savory for me, almost like a savory barbecue. It has like a mesquiteness to it for me. And like partially that's probably the sherry interacting with actual the peated barley and things like that. Obviously it's not pechuga, there's no actual Vadim, are you very, very bored here? You're the big screen on my screen, that's all I'm saying. And that was like I was like, whoa, my bad.
I almost died of not having enough oxygen, so I had to.
Yeah, fair enough.
relax.
Anyways, it's a very savory whiskey for me. Long story short, you still get some of that salinity coming through again. But this is a bit older. It's more like 4 to 5 years, closer to 5 years as far as in sherry casks. These are all first fills on this, and much higher ABV. And given that the Kilmore is 46, this is 55. It's probably because it's been six whiskeys in, but I don't perceive as much alcohol coming through on this for sure. It might be that former bias, but I definitely think it's like I love drinking this at home. I am a sucker for sherry, but it is delicious and dangerously so. If you know me, you know that's the phrase I use as well.
This is a really good peated sherry.
Absolutely. It's not super peaty. It's not iodine-y. It's just got a little bit of character, and I get a little bit of that flint, the matches on my palate.
Yeah.
It's so balanced and delicious, and it definitely doesn't drink like a 55.
I don't know. I don't get any of the Flint, but okay.
Well, it's okay. You can't always be right, Benno.
Totally get Flint. Totally get Flint. That's never heard that one. Totally got it.
Thanks, Jason, also for reminding me to add water to my whiskey occasionally. It helps my life in general. So that's a great call. It does open it up quite a bit more. So great suggestion there.
I just wanted to throw out there too that I was a collector of the Mockery Moor for a while, and was actually at Lagg before Lagg could give us actual whiskey. So we actually did a lineup of a bunch of Mockery Moors, and one of them was a sherry finished Mockery Moor, and it's just amazing. Even my horrible memory actually remembers the difference between these two, and just how the big difference between what Lagg is doing is I think it's less of the iodine than the Mockery Moor was,
Sure.
and just a lot. It's a lot more collected than the Mockery Moor was. The Mockery Moor was really a slap in the face. It really got
Right.
you. It's kind of a gut punch, Pete. Whereas the Log is just there's just so much more collectedness to it, and it's more cohesive than I think the Mockery Moor was. And I love what's going on here.
Good. Well, like, I'm very happy to hear that. I mean, that's always love to hear positive reviews on that. So,
I mean, this
um,
amount of cohesiveness and kind of evolvedness is something you would expect from something that's like 20 years old. It's very impressive that you're able to do this at 4, right? So well done.
well, thank you very much. I didn't do shit, but I appreciate the compliments.
My first trip to Scotland was with the Single Cast Nation guys, and we did a quick trip over to Arran for a couple days, and that was like 2014. So I guess that was a decade ago. So it was a great trip, great visit. Arran was beautiful.
Did you before you got to Aaron, did you play Troon? Are you a
Did,
golfer?
sorry, what?
Are you a golfer at all?
No. We didn't have any time for golfing because we were in Glasgow, and then drove to the Mulligan Tire, hit Campbelltown, then took the ferry, then Isla, then Arran, and then came back.
Fair enough.
So
First of all, that's a great trip, yeah, everybody's jealous about that, I think. Full stop.
no, it was with the Single Cast Nation guys, so it was definitely extra fun.
If you are over there and you are a golfer, Troon's basically if you were to drive from Glasgow to the ferry that goes to Brodick, it's about 45-minute drive from Glasgow. I mean, everywhere there is 30 minutes away apparently. But it's about a 45-minute drive. Troon's pretty much right at the ferry there if you are a golfer. And despite how hard it is to get on like PGA Tour and Ryder Cup courses here in the US. It's considerably easier there. So I would suggest doing that if you are of that mind.
Nice.
But go visit Aaron. I started off the night with that. All right, I guess what you're owed is where the rankings are, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Um, Vadim, if you're okay with it, I'm going to give you 3. I mean, there's a tie for first, which I'm just going to pay out, and then then I have a second place, if that works for you.
Works for me.
Start with second place.
Other than 21-year-old first place winners, tell me your preferred whiskey you had tonight, and I'll send you a bottle.
Wow.
Second place, Remnant Renegade, if that's all right.
It's great. You want me to talk? I'm gonna toss out a poll for everybody's favorite of the night because I'm getting messages in the back end of how much people loved the Renegade, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, except
Okay, fair enough.
Gonna pick a Lagg.
Yeah, let me throw the Lags into an all around one and then throw it out there. Just so you have feedback. I don't think we need to do a special just Lag favorite because it's one of two. So
Yeah, there's only two of them. So
yeah.
throw the Pete in and see whether the
Yeah.
Pete upsets the
Yeah,
rankings.
let's try it. One
I
sec.
think the Lag is pretty good.
The Lag is great. Yeah,
Really, really delicious stuff.
strong. It's strong Pete. It's not like a Colila or Port Charlotte sweet Pete. Like it's definitely a more in your face Pete, but it's not necessarily a smoky, Lafroig or a City Ardbeg. So it's kind of nice if you want something with a real like slap you upside the head, like I think what David said. If I remember, yeah, exactly.
I mean, as I said, and I stand by it, that Kilmore, I mean, to me is that's pretty close to perfect for me.
That's lovely to hear. That's lovely to hear. And Bino or Bino?
Oh, the former Bino, yeah.
Bino. Appreciate that insight. On top of that, you like Ardbeg, is sooty a good thing for you? I'm just curious.
No, it's not. I'm super sensitive to bitter, and I pick that up. It feels like someone, and I smoke cigars, but it feels like someone ashed a cigar into my glass on most of the Ardbeg expressions as of late, and I kind of hate it.
Fair enough.
I really liked the Spectacular because it was actually one of the few that didn't have that, and was also had this really like nice mouthfeel. So it was one of the recent Ardbegs that I could actually drink. So yeah, not for me normally, but that was good.
Fair enough. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. I was just curious. I was like, there's a bit of shade there.
Well, I said that to the master distiller on a tasting with Charlie from Dramers Club, and he was just like, Bino. And I'm like, dude, I'm just being honest. What do you want from me? I'll always be honest.
Where is Charlie in LA or New York these days, by the way?
No, he's in various cities right now, but he'll be in San Diego, OCLA next week, and then San Francisco on Friday. So
shit, that guy gets around, man. He's a good human.
He's everywhere. He's insane. Yeah, for any of you guys who want to come out, Charlie is doing a Dramers tasting in OC and LA next week, next Wednesday and Thursday.
Before we get the results of the poll, do you want me to announce I have a tie for first for the poem, yeah?
Yeah, please do. Please announce it. Drum roll, please.
Jason and Kate.
All right, congratulations. Woo! Who won second place?
Yeah, the second place goes to Bino.
Bino. Ah, congratulations, Bino. Good job.
Nice.
So you can Vidian, if you don't mind collecting whatever their preference of, again, I can't do 21 unfortunately, but Jason, Kate, your preference for what we've tasted tonight can be Renegade as well. I'll get a bottle to you, and then Benno, Renegade coming your way if that works for you.
Yeah, that works. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. If you want, actually, you know what? I'll give you the choice too. If you want Corey Kravi, I can do that too.
No, I'll do the Renegade.
There you go.
Perfect. Two Renegades.
Yeah, I'll do the Renegade as well. Yeah.
There you go.
3 Renegades.
My brother approved, so it's okay.
Yeah, loved it.
Perfect. 3 Renegades. That makes my life really easy. But Dean, we'll work out logistics after this.
I'll send you the addresses. For sure.
That works. Excellent. Thank you.
It's the only one of these I don't have a bottle of, Hunter. I've got everything. I've got a bottle. Well, I don't have a Sauterne anymore, but I've got a bottle of all of these except for the Sauterne and the Renegade. But I've had the Sauterne before.
I was going to say this before, but I very much appreciate the organization behind you. There's a lot of Arran on there. I love it. But yeah, we'll get you a bottle of that with make sure it comes in the canvas sack there too.
I have no idea how that happened. It was completely random. It just happened to work out that way.
Weird, right? Yeah. oh no, is that there? Okay.
I will say that the Bati is pretty good though. So I was a little sad we didn't have it tonight, but if anyone gets a chance to taste it, they definitely should try it.
If you want that instead, I can send that to you instead.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, if that's the case, then I got to say yes to that. It's cast strength.
Okay. Yeah. You want the Bothy quarter cast
Yeah.
done.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Slange.
Yes, sir.
Scholar,
No
gentlemen.
I gotta show off the one that I found a little bit. This is a really old bottling of it with the
Oh yeah, I can see
tall
the
bottle with the artwork on it. I needed to replace mine, and this was the only bottle of it they had. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I have got to score a couple of these.
Is that what's the proof on that? That cast strength still?
It's 53.2, which was really interesting
yeah.
because it's lower than the one it's lower than the current version of it.
I believe that was still cast strength when they bottled that though. So
yeah, nobody's bringing it down to 53.2 if that's not cast strength. Like that's a weird number.
Yeah, this was actually bottled. So this is actually an 8-year-old bottle. It's been sitting on the shelf for 8 years. It was bottled in 2017.
Nice.
That's 3.
That's the best.
2017 was 8 years ago. Shut up. You shut up, you. How dare you say that?
So for last bits, I got a funny, I made this before, poem about haggis I'd like to share.
Please, go ahead.
Burns. All right. A haggis ye bag of minced delight, with lungs and heart stuffed oh so tight. A sheep's we pluck, with oats to bind, a feast to boggle the faint of mind. But as the dram flows, ye taste so grand, like a muckle hug for Scotland's land. So raise your forks and dinna complain, for offal's glory shall ever remain. Since we were talking about offal, I figured that would be appropriate. So, Slanjava.
Well, Slanjava.
That one took a little work.
Well done. Well done.
So we voted
you should
for
have brought that up before. Maybe you would have won first,
well, you can't reuse ones. It's got to be something new.
Yeah, right. That's what I figured.
So both of these logs were delicious. Everyone voted for their favorite of the night, and the results are in.
Wait, I didn't even see the new poll, but okay, whatever.
Up.
Whoa!
21 year took a few hits. I mean, it's still number one. It's hard to beat, but Lagg, look at that. Lagg to second on both.
Right, and the Kilmore as well. Like that's excellent. I love that.
I probably would have voted for the Corey Gravy.
See, I like the Kilmore. It's purely. I think what I've learned is that while I like sherry cask, I don't necessarily like sherry cask on a peated Scotch.
Fair enough. I mean, look, to your point, like I'm a sucker for sherry, and I know me, right? But it can't be overbearing. Like that is absolutely true. I've talked about bourbon before and being, high extraction, high proof, but that's kind of a similar story in a lot of ways if you break into sherry. So, right.
Well, the thing with any sort of sherry or wine finish with peat is it's a subtle and it kind of almost is a hit or miss kind of thing, right? Because it really depends on if you like barbecue, like Lay's potato chips, and if it goes into that, flavor profile. I know the people that hate it. And the nice thing about the Corey Gravy is that you get sort of like a nice blend of the two without the peat kind of overwhelming the sherry, and it's just this excellent balance between the two.
Benno, I've never heard that comparison, but I don't get people who don't like barbecue chips. And so this all makes sense.
There's plenty of people who hate like barbecue like chips, so I know it's a thing.
When someone's like, I don't like barbecue chips, and by the way, this is no harm against anybody, but I'm like, how many people do you have alive in your basement? Kind of thing.
Are they supposed to be alive? Luckily,
why are you gonna call me out like that?
Yeah, all of the deems are just.
But you're salt and vinegar, motherfucker, aren't you?
I am. I love salt and vinegar.
I love salt and vinegar too. Sorry.
For the record, so do I. Don't ask me about my basement.
We're in California. We don't have basements.
That's right.
I'm worried about Jason in Minnesota. He's got a basement.
And he can keep those bodies frozen.
That's right. But look, how much fun are you going to have the winter without a hole in the ice where you can do some ice fishing, So
Unsolicited new parent advice. I got my girls into barbecue chips around the age of 5 or 6 and opened their palates up to like things like curry and be open to spice and other things. There's something about the complexity of the flavor of a barbecue potato chip that caused them to be able to eat a lot of other things.
Do you have a specific brand?
Just Lay's. It was just like, packed get those like mini packs for school and
Yeah.
snacks, the multi-packs, and they had a Lay's and loved it. And all of a sudden next time we were at a Japanese restaurant, we ordered some karaage with some fried chicken with a little dipping sauce of curry, and they were like, this curry's amazing. And now Japanese style curry is their favorite thing. They love Indian food. I mean, it's just it was the transition allowed their palates to like multiple things at the same time and not just ketchup.
It's the blend you get of the sweetness, but kind of like the smoke that you don't get like anywhere else normally in American cuisine.
100%.
And it's interesting.
For the record, for my daughter, my biggest fear is her not being open to every food possible. My wife is a chef. The whole thing, like, you're like 5 years old. I'm about to set a calendar reminder for 2030 to be like barbecue chips coming at you.
I mean, I will also tell you, and this comes off of my oldest went through a period where she wouldn't eat anything green. And then at one point tried to get me to pick out the specks of basil from a piece of cheese pizza. And I turned her and I was like, I didn't think there was a line, but you found it. You are eating this.
Put down. Let's go.
We're done. We're done. But yeah.
Oh, but I'm sorry. I'm going to have to disagree with David. The shrimp chip thing? No. Sorry, dude. You guys.
Really?
No.
Shrimp chips are amazing. I love them.
I agree.
Ketchup chips.
I like shrimp chips are delicious.
Don't forget the Canadian ketchup chips.
All right. Now you've lost me.
Wait, you do shrimp chips, but you can't do ketchup chips? Come on.
No, but the Canadian ketchup chips, they're extra nice.
All I do, I just take ketchup and I just squeeze a bottle right in my mouth.
Wait, have you tried the Heinz jalapeno ketchup? That's good stuff.
No, I haven't, but that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Full disclaimer, I'm not taking ketchup and squeezing it straight in my mouth, for the record. This is a horrifying idea.
We all have that image in our heads. You can't take it back.
Yeah, I did do the motion. It's a fact. That's my fault. That's on me. That's on me.
Is it time to stop recording now, Vadim?
I was just about to ask.
I think
it was time probably 10 minutes ago. Yeah, thank you.
I think before we got in the condiments and the chips section, I think it was time to say thank you all for being here tonight. This was absolutely spectacular. Congratulations to the winners. I hope you enjoy your bottles. I'm sorry, Shane, I voted for you, but yeah, I don't get a vote. So cheers, everyone. Hunter, always a pleasure. And we look forward to seeing you back in April for some Irish whiskeys. So
yes, sir.
Everyone keep an eye out for that. But yeah, cheers, everyone.
Or what was the brand that you represent besides this?
No.
I do Arran, Lagg, Dingle, Irishman, Writer's Tears.
Writer's Tears.
And also Daft Mill, if you are a connoisseur. And I also do King's Ginger, which is a ginger liqueur.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Where are you based out of?
San Francisco.
You're not coming down next week for the one at Liberty's?
No, I typically would, but I have 3 other guys from Dingle up here that I got to, which first of all, I love to entertain. So they're good people, but only one of them's heading down there, and we have other things we got to block and tackle for up here. So unfortunately, not down there this time. I'll probably be back down there in March. I talked to Vadim about this. We might be looking at trying to do something in person, potentially. So keep an eye out for that. We'd love to meet y'all.
Where in SF are you? My corporate office is up there. I'm up there a lot.
My office in Fidei. You know the Trans-American Pyramid?
Y'all can do this off recording, just saying. Thanks all for being here tonight. Finish the conversation after the recording. Cheers. Good night.